Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune. Joining me once again is Shea Dixon. And Shea, it's Friday, October 18th. It's a little chilly outside, but that just means it's football season still. And we got LSU Arkansas on Saturday night in Fayetteville. How are you feeling? What do you think? What are your thoughts after a interesting week where Brian Kelly had his press conference and another player's injured, Tyree Adams, CJ Daniels is probable, Chris Hilton's out. Where do you want to start?
There is fine. Tyree Adams, you hate to see it. He's your kind of, I guess, backup. He's your left tackle in training, right, for when Will Campbell's gone. So you need Campbell and Emory Jones to stay healthy the rest of the year. The O-line in general, Matty B, look, all five of them have been, knock on wood, have been healthy all season. That doesn't always happen in the trenches, obviously. So they've had some fortune there, even if they've been excellent in pass pro and have struggled to find their way in run block. It's been the same five guys. So you've had continuity, you've had your five best. Hopefully you don't need to dip into the back end here of the bench because Tyree would have been one of those guys. But successful surgery, he's out. Good on him. Hopefully he has a good recovery and all that. Chris Hilton's not playing. I don't think anyone's shocked by that. The big news for me all week, Matty B, was CJ Daniels. Would he play? Would he not? We've talked about this a lot on the site, on the pod, on the film breakdowns. There's only two wide receivers on this team who've played more than 300 snaps. And obviously, Kyron Lacey's one of them, but CJ Daniels is the other. And he's missed a game. So, look, and there were blowouts where he wasn't even playing in the back half of others. They trust him. He blocks well. He runs the right routes. He'll get you 4 catches for 50 a game. But he also moves around positions to the point where, as we saw a week ago, Xavier Thomas is having to do things he doesn't normally be called upon to do in this offense. So for me, Kyle Parker's out. CJ Daniels back is the biggest news of the week, Matty B, on the injury report.
I agree. You could tell, I think, last week in the game, even though I think there was a lot that was, wrong with the offense, and Nussmeier contributed to it. The lack of run game contributed to it. But at the same time, I think their lack of proven wide receiver, play out there and them having to kind of shuffle things up, put Xavier on the perimeter and whatnot. All those things contributed, I think, to the offense's struggle. So yeah, I definitely think having CJ Daniels back is big. I think more so than anything, it allows Xavier to do what he does best, which we talked about in the mailbag. I think allowing Xavier to be more of the gadget guy and not have to run, go routes and try to make contested catches over guys and whatnot. So, big deal there.
Well, I mean, and also for the second pod in a row, I've turned my actual mic on about 2 minutes in.
It sounds great now, so you're good.
Now you're hearing me perfectly. I think it sums it up for me, Matty B, that touchdown throw that Nuss threw to Xavier Thomas, where Xavier dove for it.
Yeah.
And it was just on the edge of his finger. It's like they don't have that chemistry on every route that he would have with who would be in his place if it weren't for Xavier Thomas having to fill in there. So little things like that, I think, don't seem like a big deal maybe to the average fan of a guy being out, but CJ Daniels does a lot for this offense in terms of just, like I said, moving guys around to the point where, as you noted, Xavier does the gadget stuff. That's what he's best at. And they'll be at full strength relative to what they've been all season this weekend.
Yeah.
And Trey Dez is playing receiver.
And Trey Dez is playing receiver. That's the other noteworthy thing.
So he's your 5-star tight end freshman who has a couple targets, couple touchdowns, but he wasn't really playing. And Brian Kelly pretty much just said, we have to have him on the field. From talking to people around football ops, everybody shared that sentiment going even into the Ole Miss game. But now moving beyond it, it's like, okay, so expect them to continue to slot him out wide and see if you can't get a mismatch.
Yeah. I mean,
he's 6'6", 240 something and jumps out the gym.
At least 6'6". Yeah. He's
incredible. Got great hands.
Yeah. I love the jump out the gym analogy because he is a basketball player. Damn good one at that. It'll be interesting to see how much he gets.
You explained my 2-sport reference. That was understood.
It was great. It caught me off guard. It was good. All right, which side of the ball do you want to start with here when looking at this game?
I actually want to let's start with I want to start with the Arkansas because I do believe that the LSU defense continues to improve.
Yes.
That's fact. It's statistically backed up. You can see it with the eye test, anything. This Arkansas team is one that runs a football. Talon Green, their quarterback who had to leave during the Tennessee win, was not on the injury report Wednesday. Pittman said that he's training to play. He was not on it Thursday night, so he's going to play. We went over this in the mailbag. He runs it. He doesn't throw it for a huge clip, almost like a Sellers type stat line of like 50% passing, but he'll run it on you. And they also have a nice run game. There was some concern from people, Matty B, that as bad as the secondary has been in spots, where is this run defense right now? Your assessment after watching the film of the Arkansas run game, which I think is what LSU fans view as that's what could really be the threat to keep Arkansas in it and maybe win it.
Yeah, and it's not just in them having success. I think Bobby Petrino's done a terrific job of building an identity here with Quinton Jackson and Taylor Green. And the most important thing about them being able to run the ball, it's not even that they are prolific in that or that, I think Jackson's a very good back and Green obviously has wheels, but their ability to stay ahead of the chains consistently. And that's not even being cliche. That is, they are one of the best in the country, I think, at doing that. And it's proven by their third down percentage where they're 53% on third downs, top 10 in the country. They are always staying ahead of the chains. They're making it easier on Taylor Green, who we'll talk about him as a passer in a second. But I think the run game for them, I mean, they do it out of the eye, they do it out of the shotgun, they do read options, they do power tosses. Like they throw a lot at you as a defense in the run game. And so now it is going to be paramount that this LSU defense shows that it's able to contain the run. While they've gotten better at that, and I think that they've clearly slowed down the busts and the just pure explosives out of the run game. I definitely think this is going to be a massive test for them in that area, the same way that South Carolina was. So overall, yeah, the run game for Arkansas is very, very impressive. I think that is what kind of keeps them in games for a while and keeps it lower scoring. If you look at the Tennessee game, the first drive was 9+ minutes, and they did it just by running the ball and converting third downs. And that's how they want to play against these offenses that can score. Against LSU, especially, is they want to control the clock. Against Tennessee, they had the ball for over 35 minutes in the game. Like, they want to keep Garrett Nussmeier off the field. So it's up to LSU's defense to stop that.
How do you think LSU's been at getting off the field on third downs now compared to USC game?
They're definitely better. Even if you just go to like the Nichols game or the even
Well, that's
UCLA
what when
first
you
half.
say 9-10 minute drives, that was the Nichols
Yeah,
game. That was
yeah,
the only reason the game was where it was at half. Is what did LSU had like 2 possessions in the
yeah,
first half.
yeah. That UCLA game that's what you don't want, because I remember we talked about it after the game. It was like LSU only had 8 like true offensive possessions in that game. The other ones were like kneeling it out or running the clock out. That's what you can't have here. You cannot have a game where you only have 8 or 9 true offensive possessions, because then the margin for error shrinks. Then a Garrett Nussmeier interception will be dire. Like those are these situations. Whereas against Ole Miss, we saw it. The interceptions weren't good, but you were able to get off the field really quickly. Ole Miss plays pretty fast, so you're able to get the ball back quickly. That's not the case here. If you turn it over, it might be 5 minutes until you get the ball back, and you're halfway through a quarter almost. So I definitely think the third down defense is better. I think the short yardage game is going to be really interesting. And we saw Braden Swinson make a great tackle against Ole Miss on 4th and 1. Like, those are the type of stuffs that you're going to need here. And frankly, Tennessee was not able to get those for the most part. Now, they did have, I think on the first drive, Arkansas got it down to the 1, had a penalty, get back to the 6, kicked a field goal. There were times where Arkansas wasn't able to finish drives, which is evident because they ended the game with 434 yards of offense against Tennessee and only, what was it, 20 points? I mean, it was very 19 points. And that's kind of been the case all year in the red zone, I think. So Yeah, Auburn, Tennessee, and Texas A&M as their 3 SEC games. If you go back farther, they lost to Oklahoma State in double overtime. But in 3 SEC games, it's been 24-14, 17-21, 19-14. So all lower scoring games, which is how I think Arkansas wants to play.
You wonder, a lot of people call this type of thing a trap game, 3-point spread, a 2.5-point spread, to where LSU's coming off this emotional high victory, and now they got to go to Arkansas. Let's remember, Arkansas is coming off an emotional high victory as well, right? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger for a team that has been under Pittman. Kind of, they blew a game, or what was that game early? They like game week 1, they were crushing someone and lost.
Well, week 2 they lost to Oklahoma State.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
and they were winning big in that game.
Yep.
But they've also now got some good, and that's a big win for them, right?
2-1.
Would you say
Yeah,
Arkansas,
2-1.
Tennessee?
No, it is. And even with the limitations, I think, of Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee's offensive line is good right now. I think, Nico has been under pressure. Nico's struggled a little bit more and they don't
Are
have.
you saying their left tackle's not up to the task right now, Matty B?
Their tackle play has not been at a high level. Landon Jackson, for which we'll talk about that side of the ball in a second, but like in general, Tennessee has not been.
We're only going to talk about former LSU players that now play on other teams,
right? But yeah,
Lance Hurd. For those that don't know, Lance Hurd, former 5-star offensive tackle that left because he was not starting an offensive tackle ahead of Emory and Will, is Tennessee's left tackle, and he's young, Matty B, but boy, he's been put on the record player a few times and spun round and round this year. And as you said, Nico's been put under pressure because of it.
Yeah, so even if Tennessee is not that top 10 team that we all thought maybe they'd be after 3 or 4 weeks, still to hold them scoreless, I think says a lot about what Arkansas can do on the other side of the ball. Texas A&M was a very, very tight game for a lot of it, and it ends up being a 4-point game there. Auburn win is impressive even on the road, no matter how you slice it. So these are 2 teams coming off of field storming wins. Tennessee or Arkansas off a bye. The last thing I'll say about Arkansas's offense, just to talk about Taylor Green real quick as a passer, 56% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You read off the numbers and it's very underwhelming. I think he has that kind of Bo Nix quality in him, and Auburn Bo Nix, not Oregon Bo Nix, but where you don't really know what you're going to get, and he has the arm talent and he has like the playmaking ability to hurt you if you're not ready. So as much as, I think it is fair to look at the stats and say Taylor Green's not great, I think he's better than Lenore Sellers as a passer especially, but like just overall, I think he's just a better player. So, don't go into this game saying, "Oh, Taylor Green's just gonna throw 2 interceptions and not do anything, and he's gonna look terrible." I think this is his 3rd year as a starter, and the other 2 were at Boise State, which isn't, a terrible program. So
did he leave Boise State because he knew all he was going to do was hand the football off every play?
Well, that's the thing is
Genty was just going to take every snap,
right? He's not in a very different situation here. He has a good running back, like he's keeping it a lot, but yes, he would just be throwing it to and giving it to Genty. So, yeah, he's a good player. Don't go into this game thinking that he's a bum. I think he is very capable. And as we've seen, I think against A&M and even Tennessee before he got hurt in the 4th quarter, he made some throws here to really put pressure on the defense. So he's sporadic. He's going to make a great throw, then he'll make a bad throw. But, I think he is capable. If LSU is not ready to, put the clamps on him, and he has some talented playmakers, Andrew Armstrong, Luke Haas at tight end. So this is a pass game that is, up and down, but I definitely think LSU's secondary has to be sharp.
Is he better than Jackson Dart?
No.
Is he better than
Miller Moss?
Lenore Sellers?
He's better than Sellers, yeah.
Is he better than Miller Moss?
No, I don't think so.
Is he better than
Gio Lopez?
Ethan Garbers at UCLA?
Yes.
So what? Out of 6-7 games, he'll be about the 3rd best quarterback they've played?
Yeah, he'll be the 3rd. I've watched a lot of Lenore Sellers, and I've watched a lot of I've watched a lot of Green to this point. I almost said Trades Green.
Maybe you will watch a lot of Trades Green this weekend.
Yeah, but I love Talon Green, and I watched a lot of both of them. I think Talon is clearly the better player, and also he's like he can extend plays as a passer as well. And like if y'all go watch the film study I did, I included a couple of those plays where he is able to evade the rush and make a nice throw, and then he evades the rush and then throws an interception against A&M. So
he's got a little Bo Nix in him.
that's exactly what I think I see in him. It's like that type of player. The Auburn Bo Nix, not the all Oregon one that completed like 70% of his throws in that offense.
Not the Thursday night football one.
Yeah, not the one
Too
that just
soon.
torched the Saints.
Too soon. Sorry,
Anyways,
Saints
yeah.
fans. I'm with you. And Cowboys fans, y'all just stay quiet. Y'all are no good either.
No.
Everyone be quiet.
Nothing.
Unless you're a fan of a good team. But here in Louisiana, it's Cowboys and Saints, and we're down bad. But I'm with you. I think one thing too, Maddie B, we didn't talk receivers. Do they have anyone that stood out to you when you watch film?
Yeah, Andrew Armstrong is good. I don't know if he's not special, like he's not first round talent good, but he's a good player, and he's been in the SEC a few years now. He has 38 catches, 552 yards. So he makes up for a third of their receiving yards. We'll see what a guy like Isaac Tesla, Jaquindon Jackson has 10 catches for 118 yards. They threw it to him out the backfield a couple times. So it's a decent group. It's a decent group. It's not going to wow you. Nothing about this offense is going to wow you. They're just going to try to kill the clock. They're going to try to convert on third downs, convert on fourth downs, and probably take their field goals when they can get them. So every point matters in this game.
Yeah, the Andrew Armstrong. I think he was at Texas A&M Commerce before he went to Arkansas a year ago, but
Right.
last year he led them in everything: targets, catches, receptions, yards, touchdowns, which weren't many. It was like 5, but definitely he's the guy that Zy Alexander will be on. And right now, and I've had people come up and say this to me in the streets, Maddie B. I've had people text it to me, and it's almost as if they're saying it as if it were a crime to say, like if it were it's such a faux pas or whatever that you want to whisper it. But is this defense a little better right now without Harold Perkins?
I still don't think so, but I understand that they've looked better in 2 games without Harold Perkins. So I can understand how
Did they
A
look
plus
better in
B.
2 games without Harold Perkins because they're not trying to figure out what to do with Harold Perkins?
Major Burns has done nothing that Harold Perkins can't do. So that would be my only pushback there. It's not that Major Burns is an upgrade in Harold Perkins in terms of fit. Like I think if Harold Perkins was on the field instead of Major Burns, I think they'd be having the same results. I don't think that it would look really any different. I understand that in 2 games without him, they have been better, and Whit Weeks has been able to fly around, but I mean, Major Burns made some pressures on the quarterback. He, was in the right position. In theory, I think Harold Perkins could have done that. So I will not. I don't know.
I'll never not say the team's not better without Harold.
Like I understand what people are saying. I understand,
but you
if you
get what
take
they're
that
getting
side.
at.
I just personally will not say that. I don't think, unless if I don't know what it'll take, but I don't know if there's a point that I will reach where I will say that this defense is better without Harold Perkins, even though we understand that they, went to a star package. But what does a star package mean? It means Major Burns is on the field at that star role. But what is he excelling at? He's excelling at rushing the passer. He's excelling at being close to the line of scrimmage. Like, I think Harold Perkins could do all of those things at that same level. So that's just where I'm at with that. I think LSU's defense is in a very, very good spot. I'm interested to see if they can match the physicality of Arkansas for 4 quarters.
I'll say this: to lose Perkins, to lose Guillory, to lose Zy Alexander for a game, these stretches where they're without their best players at these positions and to be where they're at is really impressive. Like, to still be trending up and not plateau or go back and have this sort of up and down bell curve. It's been a steady upward trajectory for the defense. So kudos to Blake Baker, his whole staff, those players. Hey, look, nothing's easy, and now you go right from a Kiffin team to a Bobby Petrino offense. So it doesn't get easier no matter the talent level Arkansas has. When you flip it, LSU. It was kind of funny. We went through it on the mailbag. LSU has the same number of touchdowns and field goals basically that Arkansas has, but LSU's held in a much different regard. Is it because simply that LSU can throw the football very well?
Yeah, yeah. LSU's offense is clearly more, pass heavy. These are two teams on the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of percentage of plays that are passes and runs. I'm interested to see how the offensive line does once again against a good pass rush. Landon Jackson and company are very
They buckled in versus Ole Miss, Matty B. No sacks, no pressures.
No, they had some pressures. They had pressures, but
Not Will Campbell.
yeah, not Will Campbell. But they had some pressures. I still think that it was a good
No
performance.
sacks.
No sacks is the stat that you go back to, and I think a lot of that is also should be attributed. Garrett Nussmeier has gotten no credit for that.
Some fancy footwork by Garrett Nussmeier.
And I understand people will quickly be like, "Oh, he's throwing off his back foot. He's throwing off his back foot." He is escaping pressure. He's getting rid of the ball on time. I mean, I think Garrett Nussmeier deserves a lot of credit for that as well because it's
Matty
not.
B is filling the gas up again in the Nuss bus. He's cranked the engine and we're rolling.
There's a stat on PFF and it's been on Twitter. I think Carter posted, a couple people posted. It's like the pressure to sack rate for Garrett Nussmeier is the lowest in the country. So feels it,
Okay.
gets rid of it. I think he deserves credit as well. I just want to say that. But yeah, Arkansas's front's going to be good. I think they did I think schematically against Tennessee, they were terrific. I mean, they didn't let Tennessee get away with the short game stuff. They, for the most part, contained the run. I think the running defense is the biggest question for Arkansas in this game. Because against Auburn, they allowed 5.6 yards per carry. Against Tennessee, it was 4.8. A&M was 3.5, and even in the A&M game, the Aggies started leaning on the run a bit. So the run defense for the Razorbacks is their weakness. Can LSU exploit that? I think it'll be up to Caden Durham because Caden Durham's really good, and I don't think he was healthy last week. So if he's healthy and he's 100%, I think Caden Durham has a strong game for LSU.
Yeah, Travis Williams, T-Will, has been much like Blake Baker, a solid DC hire for them a couple years back who, God, he was good at Auburn. But, I mean, he's worked under Kevin Steele. He's worked under guys who know this game in the SEC like the back of their hands. So, tough test. Just going up against another coaching staff that they put all their guys in the right places. They know how to scheme it up. I think LSU does too, obviously. I think it's a really strong coaching staff. So, will be interesting to watch there. But offensively, many people continue to say Matty B. Before we even get to Nuss, Daniels, these receivers, the run game, where is it at? And I kept saying I just want him to hit 100 yards. Can Caden Durham get it going? We'll see. Hopefully, right? Can Josh Williams pop a handful for 8, 12 yards, 15 yards, and then give you those 4 yards of run and pick up and pass pro like he normally does? That's the expectation. I've now shifted my run game talk this week away from Durham and Josh Williams to Nuss. I want to see Nuss. If they give it to him, take off. Go run for 15 yards because to this point, they're viewing clearly defensive coordinators are viewing Nussmeier as a guy who, hey, look, if he beats us on a run of 30 yards, great, because he's never once done it in his career. I never attempted it in his career.
To that point, LSU's offense was one-dimensional against Ole Miss, and I think it has fallen into that kind of lull at times throughout the year. Now, again, the receivers were injured; like they were not comfortable on the perimeter. The run game was not successful, and then you add into that Garrett Nussmeier not being able to run with his legs. What are you as an offense? You're an offense that can really only throw the ball, and that's what happens when you are one-dimensional. Is your quarterback completes 43% of his passes. Like they have to find a balance in some way, shape, or form, whether it is the short pass game, whether it's the vertical pass game, the run game, or Garrett Nussmeier's legs. They have to find a counter for for just dropping back to pass, because that's really all they've been good at to this point. So I'm interested to see how they approach this game, because Arkansas, like we've said, through 3 SEC games, I've been impressed with their defense. And I understand the offense kills a lot of time, but they haven't allowed, more than 24 points in an SEC game. I think they do deserve credit for that. So can LSU find a counter to their drop back pass game? And who is it going to be? Is it going to be Durham? Is it going to be Garrett Nussmeier running? Is it going to be a vertical pass element that they haven't shown yet? That's one of my biggest keys here is LSU cannot be one-dimensional. Even as much as I like Garrett Nussmeier and I think he's a very good player, expect dropping back and throwing 50 times. I mean, it's just not really sustainable.
What's your thought process with Daniels back? How much of a boost is this?
I do think it's substantial. I still think, a lot of it's going to fall on Lacey and Anderson and Taylor, but like we've talked about before, just him being on the field is a comfort.
Everything looked different. Like their approach looked different versus Ole Miss without him than it did the prior 5 games.
Yes. I do also credit some of that to Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss, and I wrote this, I don't remember where I wrote this.
Pete Golden was in his bag?
Ole Miss, I think, might have shown like a little blueprint in terms of how teams are going to attack LSU, in terms of we're going to start taking away some of the easier stuff, and then we're going to force, make Garrett Nussmeier run, make them run the ball consistently, against a team that I don't think Ole Miss even loaded the box. I think they just had a good front and were able to stop the run.
Well, they have a really good front. They have a good front seven. It's great.
So again, can
Paid a lot of
Arkansas
money
repeat
for
that?
it.
I don't know, but that's going to be kind of what most teams are going to do. Is
Arkansas's front seven isn't what Ole Miss's is.
No. So again, I think LSU should be able to run the ball, and I say that. I think I said on the board, it's like I'm kind of out on the run game until they prove otherwise, because it's just been the same thing. But I think this is a game where Arkansas's run defense has been in the bottom half of the SEC this year. Okay, LSU, like you have to show it at this point. You have to be able to execute, and I think if Caden Durham's healthy, I think that he should be able to do that.
LSU's been pretty consistent on offense. Matty B, here's the other thing is that they've had to crawl from behind so many times this year that on the road, much like a South Carolina, you can't fall down 17-0. You can't.
No, it's
the chance of winning is so low that it's not going to have. Lightning doesn't strike twice here. So
I mean, they've been a bad first half team under Brian Kelly. Like there's no other.
God, I wish I would have looked up the stats. Have they? What is their trail versus being ahead to start?
Well, I wrote a story on it. What was that, 3 weeks ago?
So we'd have to catch up on that.
And I have kept the doc going. I haven't here. Let me just share. Or I guess let me keep it. But straight up, they're straight up in against P4 opponents. So high major opponents. They are 9, 14, and 3 straight up in the first half. In the Brian Kelly tenure.
Yeah,
that is.
This year, though.
This year they were tied.
This year it just feels like they've trailed a lot early.
So this year they were tied against USC. They were up 9 against Nichols at halftime. They were down 8 to South Carolina. They were tied with UCLA. They were up against South Alabama, but then they were down against Ole Miss at halftime as well. And they were down significant, 10-0 off rip. And so, yeah, they've been playing from behind, and that clearly doesn't help when you're trying to be, more than one-dimensional. So we'll see if they can get off to a better start.
That's a must, especially when you play on the road in Fayetteville. Speaking of Fayetteville, let's get an ad read in. It's always the same. Every preview and prediction pod, it is game time. If you don't have game time, pull out your phone, type it into the App Store, one word, game time, download it for free. Game Time is the ticketing app that everybody's using these days. It's what I use, not just for sports, but for anything. Bought a couple concert tickets recently off it. Plays, anything you want to do, you can find on here. And NBA's kicking up. Obviously, NFL's in full swing. But take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account on3, ON3, is the promo code. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account. Just spell it out. ON3 when you get to checkout. It'll pull $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time, Maddie B. I haven't looked at the seats in Fayetteville, but I'm sure they're packing this one out. This is when I usually push people towards many levels of Game Time, but the flash deals and stuff that pops up the day of the game, you'll start to see ticket prices drop. But if you have not gotten tickets yet for this weekend's matchup in Fayetteville, they are there. And then again, grab them early for A&M, because I can promise you that if both these teams win and they go to A&M, and that's a very big one, that College Station, Caulfield will have that one packed out. So
what's A&M ranked right now? 14. So yeah, if both teams win, might be a top 10 game. Or well, LSU would obviously be in the top 10, but A&M at 14 right now. If they win, they'll probably
gosh,
move up
they are laying in the weeds right now. They are sneaky.
right.
It speaks to college football this year. I don't think anybody's there's like two teams maybe that you're like, I like that. I don't even think Oregon's that great. I think Texas is really good.
Yeah, I agree. That's it really.
I'm
mean,
one
the
of
rest
those people
them have
with terribly cold like takes, or not cold, but like takes that you're like, what? Like I like Ohio State more than Oregon, and I know that they just lost to them.
I still think
but
Ohio State might be
I
the
like
best.
Ohio State more than
I
Oregon.
still think Ohio State might be the best team in the country.
I can get on board with that too.
So
And I like Texas. So
yeah.
those two. But hey, look, LSU plays neither of them in the regular season. So continue to move along with this. But Game Time, check out tickets. A lot of people told me they got in on both Ole Miss and LSU. Caught some good deals the day of the game, and it paid off because that was one of the best atmospheres in recent memory. All right, are we going to do some game balls here? What do we want to do?
Let's do it. Let's predict them.
All right, offense and defense. Did I go Swinson? No. Who did I go last week?
We really should keep track of this. I did. I think you might have gone Swinson. I don't remember. Let me remember who I picked real quick. I think I said Ashton. I might have said someone. I think I said someone in the secondary. I don't think I said a linebacker again. But regardless, somewhere in that area.
Keep this in your sheets so that then
we'll do this.
each week.
We'll keep it in a doc or something.
I think I banned myself from Swinson at one point, so I quit picking him.
Yeah, it's easy. You just pick Swinson every week, and you're like,
I picked Major Burns, South Alabama, for the major battle. Okay, who do I want in this one? Give me.
I know what I picked on offense. Offense, I picked Kyron Lacey, which was not, technically the right choice.
Game-winning touchdown. Congrats.
He did have the game-winning touchdown. But, yeah, I thought he was going to have like a 7-8 reception game because they were all injured.
I'll go defense. Oh.
Defense is hard because we've
you don't want to. It's so I could pick weeks, right? I mean, but that seems easy. Give me Savion. Give me a. It's getting to the cooler weather. People are moving from the whites to reds.
But you know what you picked last week? I think you picked Greg Penn.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. Well, as it gets a little cooler out, people start to put away the whites and get out the bottles of red. Do not, or perhaps do, pull out your last bottle of Savion Blanc for Savion Jones this weekend. My man, Savion Blanc Jones, give it to me. He has stepped up as a run stopper, as a pass rusher. He is right there behind Swinson in sack count. Give it to me. On a game that I think is won in the trenches, I will take LSU's other D-end in Savion Jones.
Who am I taking here? I'm going to go with a player. I'm going to go Gio Paez because I think he still plays a lot. He has become someone that nobody is talking about anymore.
Nobody talks about interior D tackles.
Nobody talks about interior D tackles.
Eat up blocks.
You know how we know that? Because Don McKinley, I don't have the snap count in front of me, but he played a good amount against Ole Miss. And at least to my recollection, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to go look up the stats right now before I just make declarations here, but I'm pretty sure he played a good amount in that game. So I think the interior is going to be very important. I think there have been questions, and rightfully so. Ole Miss did have some success, I think, in the run game in that area, where Whit Weeks had to come and clean it up, or Greg Penn had to come clean it up. So I think the defense tackle spot's going to be very important here. Gio Lopez is going to be my pick here. I do have the snap counts up though, and yeah, Don McKinley played 23 snaps last week. Gio Paez played 46. So yeah, we're reaching Parashan 46. Like we're reaching the time where they're gonna start playing the guys that they want to play. Braden Swinson played 73 out of 87 snaps. Like Whit Weeks played all 87 snaps. So yeah, the rotation, the days of it being a rotation, I think are or only playing like a third of the snaps are gone. Gio Paez is playing at least 50% of the snaps this week. Give me Paez to make some plays.
And that's what Brian Kelly said they would do. When Guillory went down, he said, we are going to work towards a rotation. And I think they finally found it, which is good news.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go Savion. All right, offense, you get to choose first.
Offense, I do think LSU will have to be able to run the ball. I'm just gonna take Caden Durham. I'm just gonna do it. Now, I was gonna pick someone maybe on the offensive line, or maybe Mason Taylor, but I think Caden Durham has a good enough week. Give me Caden Durham over 60 yards rushing. There you go.
I want to pick Aaron Anderson here to just go out and have another tear it up game. I really am tempted to pick Xavier Thomas in a game that I think is going to be low scoring, that maybe that he could return one. But we did already break this down in the mailbag. Arkansas punts it about as few times as anyone in the SEC. So, and they don't give many opportunities either. They're kicking it out of the end zone and they're punting it, out of bounds or high enough to where you're fair catching it. They've only had a couple of returns on them. So it's tough to think like you won't have many opportunities. You wouldn't, based off the stats. I'll then move past those. Give me Mason Taylor, tight end. Big game in a game where Nuss needs to get back to that short and intermediate game to then open other things up. I'll go Mason Taylor. I think he has 6, 7, 8 catches, 70, 80 yards, and maybe a touchdown.
I like it. I like
security blanket.
That was one of the takeaways from my dad being at the game was, I mean, he watches almost every LSU game now because I'm here, but it's like, man, they got to throw to Mason Taylor more.
Well, I don't think he caught a ball till the third quarter.
Yeah,
and the 2 targets he had to out jump the DBs to break up a pick. Like they were bad throws downfield. It was like jump balls to Mason Taylor, which are not his bread and butter. And fortunately, he's got a little bit of athleticism in that bloodline and out jumped both DBs both times and batted the ball away. But yeah, I'm going with Mason Taylor. I think Nuss and him back on the same page early and often this week. So give me Mason. You took Caden. Give me Savion. You took Gio Paez. And that brings us to this, Maddie B, the prediction preview and prediction portion of this podcast. The final swan song here. It is very tough to play in Fayetteville. Everyone knows that. And for LSU, no matter the talent level of either side, this game's always been very tough. Now, I will say this. They have not, Little Rock used to be sprinkled in here a good bit. It's been Fayetteville recently. LSU went to Fayetteville last time, 2 years ago, and that was coming off that Bama overtime win, where they went for 2, Kelly's first season. And that next week was the game where Daniels was banged up and Harold Perkins basically won a game by himself, like just went out there and just did it. And Arkansas had a backup quarterback and it wasn't pretty and nothing about the game was pretty, but LSU wins the game. It was pulled up right here.
It was like a
13-10. Oh God, that game was so bad.
Yeah,
all right.
I remember.
But year prior, LSU won in Fayetteville. The year prior to that, LSU won in Fayetteville, or 2 years at a time here. Won For that, LSU won in Fayetteville in 16. The last time LSU's lost in Fayetteville, 2014, 10 years ago. That was, gosh, who was on that team? Anthony Jennings would have been the quarterback, and Fournette still would have been on that team, but he didn't do anything that game. I don't even remember if he played that much. Traven Doral was like the only receiver who caught more than a pass in that game. I can remember that. Brandon Allen made some throws, but really it was Alex Collins. Jonathan Williams was on that team. It was an ugly game. Arkansas had scored. It was like 10-0 at halftime, and then they icing on the cake did in the fourth. But LSU was awful that day. They have not lost in Fayetteville since, but that doesn't mean it's not tough to play in Fayetteville because, as we noted, a year ago they win by 3, 13-10. 2 years ago they win by 3, 27-24. 6 years ago they won by a touchdown, 24-17. The only span in that stretch of 10 years from that loss to now that it was more than a field goal touchdown was 2016. They went up to Fayetteville, and a top 20 LSU team beat Arkansas badly. It was 38-10. I don't think that will happen this weekend, but you understand why this line is about a field goal. It's tough to play up there, and this game's always close. So I am right in that range. The over-under on this, Matty B, meaning the combined points of both teams, is sitting at 56. I'm smashing the under here.
Feels high. Yeah. I saw that last night. It was 56 and a half, I think, last night. I didn't bet it, but is it down to 56 now, really? Wow.
56 and a half.
Okay.
I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with LSU 24, Arkansas 23.
Yeah.
I think LSU could lose this. Obviously, right? I think LSU could lose any game left on the schedule.
Yeah. And this
I
is
think they're buckled in enough to get past this one.
just find a way. Just find a way.
Absolutely.
Just find a way to win. This is a very, very tough
I'm not
game.
out here about to tell you they're going to blow them out 38-0. I think they'll win by a point.
Yeah. I've written down my predictions in our prediction story, which will be up very soon. Probably is up by the time y'all listen to this. I have Arkansas 27, LSU 24. I do think LSU's struggles in the first half really bother me, and I think back to that South Carolina game, how they just weren't sharp playing on the road. If I picked LSU last week because of the situation, coming off a bye, playing at home in a big game, I have to think this is the same situation for Arkansas, coming in off a bye at home in a big game, and LSU coming in on an obvious letdown spot. Do I think Arkansas is better on paper? No, I don't. But I do think LSU's offense has to prove that it is not one-dimensional. And against a good defense in Arkansas that I think is capable of doing some things and being in the right position, they're going to make Nussmeier make some tough throws. They're going to make them prove they can run the ball. I just don't feel great about LSU lighting up the scoreboard in the way I think they need to. And then on the defensive side of the ball, get them off the field. It's going to be hard. LSU relies on tackles for losses and sacks, and I just don't think Arkansas gives you that. So, tight game. I think this is a slip up spot for LSU. I'm taking Arkansas.
Is it even slip up, or is it just like, hey, these are where all these SEC teams
All
are,
of them.
and
Tennessee, Arkansas.
if you're at home and if you're coming off of a bye, you've got this little bit of built-in advantage to where it may give you that edge.
I mean, literally, you go down the list of SEC teams, and it is the margins here. I think between even if we say Texas is above everybody else, which they may or may not be, we'll see this week. But everybody else, LSU, Alabama, A&M, Missouri, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Tennessee, go down the list here, and separating them by a significant amount is not easy. And playing on the road in the SEC, which I said coming into the season, which is why I had them losing 2 road games, A&M and Florida, which the Florida one we'll see. But like the road playing on the road in the SEC year after year is daunting. It's just daunting. And so going into the year, I had I had them at 10-2 with 2 road losses, beating Ole Miss at home, beating Alabama at home. Like, I feel better just about playing at home than I do going on the road. It's legitimately to me like a 4 4-point swing. Like if I'm setting a line, it's a 4-point swing in one team's favor.
You want to know the wild, and I'll tell you the wild part about this that could happen here that people are not. I don't think anyone would look at a box score, maybe even LSU people, but outside of LSU Arkansas, and see that LSU won the game 32-17 and be like, oh, wow, like what a shocker. They'd be like, okay, yeah, expected. Arkansas has played 3 SEC games. They scored 24 against Auburn. They beat Auburn. They won at Auburn 24-14, but they scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. They had 14 points going into in the third quarter. They lost to A&M, scored 17.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Tennessee in a game that went down to the wire and required them scoring with about a minute left in the game. Tennessee allowing them to score with a minute left in the game for them to
Green
get the
out,
ball up.
Their backup quarterback as well.
Sure. They scored 19 points.
Yeah.
If LSU starts fast, Matty B, if they're the ones who go and grab the first 10 points, if they're the ones that go down and score 14 and get 2 stops, right, and get 2 punts, and you're up 14-0, you can run away with this game. Arkansas can't. Arkansas went into the only other good team they played, Oklahoma State, they went into double overtime with, lost to get to 31 points.
Yeah.
Regulation of that game, Arkansas had 21 at half, didn't score at all in the third, and needed 10 points in the fourth just to stave off the comeback of we just blew this game because Oklahoma State is routing us in the fourth quarter right now. This is not an Arkansas team that puts up a ton of points.
No.
If LSU can get up on them, like I said, once more, your numbers right there are, how'd I lose them? Where were they? 24 against Auburn. Again, they had 17 going into the fourth quarter, I think it was. No, 14 total points. They had 7 at halftime. That game was 7-0 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Losing to A&M in a game where they came out and scored 14 points in the first quarter. They didn't score again until the fourth when they kicked a field goal and still lost the game. So Arkansas goes stretches where they don't even score. Like, this is a chance for LSU to jump out, and Arkansas may not be able to catch up because they aren't built that way. And again, then I could roll you right back to that Tennessee game, Matty B, where you go down to the end. Yeah, they scored 19 points.
And
Tennessee gave them a touchdown at the end of the game, or they would have had the 10 points they were sitting on, 12 points they were sitting on.
Betting on LSU to start strong is not a bet.
I'm not betting on them to start. I'm just saying that if LSU starts strong in a game,
it would be the second time all year that's happened, that they've started strong. South Alabama is the only game they've started strong this year. And
the odds are in their favor then, right? It's bound to happen sometime.
Some hopefully that happens, because I agree with you. If they get up 14-0 and they can dictate some things and maybe get them Arkansas behind the chains, all the things we talked about, yeah, LSU can definitely win this game. They're more talented. Like, I think they have more playmakers, bottom line, but this is a team that has not shown the discipline in the first half to do that at all. And so now it turns into, if you go down 14-10 at halftime, Arkansas is going to come out in the I formation and punch you in the mouth 10 straight times. Can you stop them on 3rd and 1? Can you stop them on 4th and 1? So it's going to be a very interesting game for LSU physically, mentally. No busts, penalty wise. Ole Miss gave you 120 yards. You're not going to get those this week, I don't think. But regardless, it's a fascinating game. Completely different to where I was 2 years ago, where I was like, LSU is gonna clean up Arkansas on the road after beating Alabama. Like, this is a different feeling to me.
Yeah, they were winning, or they were tied with A&M 14-14 at half. But those 2 other SEC games, Tennessee and Arkansas was winning at half on both, but it was 3-0 and 7-0. Like, they're not. I'm telling you, Matty B, that's the one thing I look at and say, if LSU can get some points early, this is an Arkansas team that has not proven yet to score in bunches. They want to play good D. They want to run the football, and they want to grind it out.
No, I 100% agree. I can't. refute that because the offense is an offense that we watched it. It's Bobby Petrino where they're lining up in the eye half the time and running power out toss at you. So it's very and it's a quarterback that throws the ball 56% of the time. And maybe Taylor Green gives LSU some freebies. Like that wouldn't shock me at all. So there's a lot of ways LSU wins this game. I think it's going to come down to toughness. It's going to come down to them being locked in from the beginning. You cannot go down 10-0 to Arkansas in the first half and expect to win. So we'll see. I'm
24-23 for me, Matty B. You had what, 27-24?
27-24 Arkansas.
All right.
So
we're both within that 3 to 1 point range here.
Yes.
While picking different sides. I can see it going either way, but buckle in. 6 o'clock is this kickoff. I'd heard a lot of people thinking 6:30, 7, 6 o'clock is the kickoff in Fayetteville. And
ESPN.
Buckle in. This is, as we've said, we're at the midway point of the season, and no game left is a gimme, but no game left is unwinnable for LSU. So
every I haven't looked at the schedule or anything, but every game from this point on is going to be like a 3-point spread. It's going to be just so tight. A&M.
We talked about this on the mailbag. We thought there are no more gimmies. I was talking to a former SEC OC this week who is retired now, but said there ain't no gimmies anymore. Vandy's not a gimme. Oklahoma might be the worst team you play left.
Yeah, like even Oklahoma and Vanderbilt at home, both of them, it's probably like a 6-point spread, something like that, 6-7 point spread. So we're not looking at these 15-point spreads anymore where LSU is going to roll in and win. You're going to have to play well in every game. So I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. We've kept them long enough. Thank y'all for joining us. Leave us a like, comment, share, subscribe. Subscribe to the Bengal Tiger on 3 if you have not already. Our community is great over there. It's growing. Julie and Jared are awesome additions. Tyler's an awesome addition. We're going.
The promo is about to end. The promo is just go, GEAUX. But if you go to the Bengal Tiger on 3 and you get onto the Bengal Tiger page and you click sign up, it'll bring it up for you. But $1 for a week. And then after that, it becomes less than $5 a month. It's like $4.99, $4.90 a month or something. So we have had a ton of signups this week. I implore you, on humble knee, to sign up, to join the community. You won't regret it. We have a ton of fun on the message board, but Matty B had women's and men's basketball scoop all week. He gave the heads up on a commit that was coming in men's basketball. He's got you covered on the women's front. Both those are heating up now. And then Billy and I and Julie and Jarrett and Tyler, everyone will have you covered on the stretch to football signing day, which is only 2 months away. I put up a Bryce Underwood piece yesterday with my thoughts with all this kind of Michigan buzz out there. But Matty B, that's it. We will see people again Saturday night. Maybe
win or
we'll
lose.
watch it early Sunday morning.
Win or lose. No. Saturday night we'll be here.
Post-game reaction pod.
Can't wait. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us.
And one of us will get on and be right, and the other will be wrong and have to eat their crow.
It's the best part. If one of us will be right, one of us will be wrong. Hopefully.
It's the first time this year we've gone opposite ways.
It's the first time I've picked against LSU all year.
Yeah, well, it makes me the homer.
I mean, eventually I was like, we'll get into it later.
I'm 5-1, baby.
I feel better about the spot against A&M, honestly. No. A&M's a better team.
Yeah, I'm 5-1. Yeah, I'm 5-1.
You're 5-1. I'm 5-1 too.
Yes, exactly. So this will split us.
So there you go. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us. We will talk to y'all later.